Hey guys, it's Marta. Welcome to October Garden. Today I wanted to make a bulb lasagna and I thought you will join me because a lot of you asked in the comments. So today we'll be planting all of those bulbs in the pot. Let's begin. What is this bulb lasagna? Where does this name come from? Lasagna sounds like something delicious from Italy. And yes, this name comes from this dish because this dish is a layered dish. It has a lot of layers. One is pasta, meat, bechamel sauce, a lot of cheese. And this is the same what we'll be doing in our pot. We'll be adding layers of bulbs so that we can enjoy this pot for a long time. They will be blooming in different moments of spring, and you will get advantage for many weeks of different blooms. I've been making bulb lasagnas for a few years now, and I've encountered a few problems with them. And the biggest one was when I was planting in smaller pots. Definitely when I choose bigger pots, it's better. I don't have problems with rotting of my bulbs, and I don't have the problems with drying of them, because when you have a bigger pot, the consistency in moisture in the soil is definitely better. So if you're choosing a pot, please always choose a bigger one. You will definitely have better results. And if you're doing that for the first time, this will be your road to success. My first choice is always big pots that are the pots that came to me with the plants. If I buy bigger plants, I always get these plastic black containers, and I use them for years. Some of them I've had in my garden for 10, 15 years, and I'm using them either for growing tomatoes in my polytunnel, or I use them for spring decorations. If I put some of them in the back with the tulips, and then I have some prettier pots in the front, for example with pansies, it always looks good, and these pots just hold on to moisture best of them. So this is why I'm using those simple black containers. I always clean my pots so I don't have any pathogens from previous things that were growing here, and I'm always using fresh soil. This is also because of the pathogens. If you're using a soil that was used with different plants, you will always have this risk of getting some sickness to your bulbs. And there's nothing worse if when you're planting your bulbs, you're waiting for a few months. So you plant them in October and you wait until April, May, and then something just doesn't work. They get sick and you don't get any blooms. This is very frustrating. So I'm always trying to do things that will minimize the risk of that. So what type of bulbs can you plant in the bulb lasagna? It's your choice. This is what you love. Choose colors that you like. Choose some also the mix of the bulbs that you will like. I personally prefer to have like only tulips and crocus because I have a huge impact. I will have a full bowl of tulips, and then, or before, I will have the crocus. But you can also plant everything. So today we'll plant everything. We'll do like a full mix. We'll have alliums at the bottom, then we'll have narcissus, and we'll have tulips, and then we'll have hyacinths, and then we'll have some crocus. So everything will go in that pot today. The first layer of my lasagna will be allium. This is Allium Globemaster. You can see how the bulbs look. They are very big, beautiful, shiny ones, and I will be planting 3 of them at the bottom of my bulb lasagna. I love this variety of allium. I think it's my favorite. Huge purple balls that look just magnificent. Okay guys, enough talking and sitting. Let's put some soil in the pot and we'll start putting those bulbs in. Okay, Okay, so the first layer of soil is done. I've put about 10 centimeters of soil on the bottom of my pot, and now I will be planting the bigger bulbs, so the alliums, and I will be spacing them accordingly because they will need some space with their leaves. Remember that the bottom layer will be the bigger bulbs, so like alliums or fritillarias, but with fritillarias I would be very careful. I had no idea of the strong scent it has. I would say it's just like it's the scent is like pot. So I was searching for the scent in my garage. What is this? What is this and where is it coming from? It was from the fritillaria bulbs. And then when I planted them in autumn, the scent was in the garden for a few months until they started blooming. And I'm not a fan of this scent, so I was like, this is like Amsterdam streets, our garden. So beware of that if you don't like the scent. If you like it, maybe this isn't a good idea to plant it. So, but I'll be going with alliums today. So alliums will be the first to go. When you're planting your bulbs, always look at the bottom. The bottom is always where the parts of the old roots are, so you will know this one. I always call it a bottom. And then you have something like a tip, so this tip always goes up. It's true to all the bulbs, and please remember to always put them in the ground this way. I'll be putting my alliums with spacing, I think, around 7 to 5 centimeters. This is very, very close. And when they grow, I will remember to remove the leaves, because the leaves of the alliums will be quite big and then will be drying. So I know that in the pot, I will be removing them in spring. When your first layer is done, now it's time to cover it with soil. Just cover it slightly so the bulbs are not seen, not anything more. Then we'll be planting tulips. My next layer will be tulips. I'm always trying new varieties in the pots. Sometimes I go with the ones that I love, like Angelique is always a tulip I want to have in my pots. But this one is called Apricot Pride. It is very, very similar to the one I had in the garden. I really, really loved white and I would say salmon pink mixed with a bit of orange, but very, very gentle. I love those types of colors. Let's see, I have very similar narcissus to that, so we'll see. But now let's go with tulips. The bulbs are really pretty, they are healthy, they are very dense, nothing is squishy, no signs of sickness on them, so I'm really happy with them. Now, when you're choosing your bulbs, always look if there is, like, if you see any side of like blue, if they are squishy, always throw them away, especially in the pot. One sick bulb will make them all sick because they are very, very close together. I'm planting my bulbs very close by, very close to one another, like 1-2 centimeters from the bulbs, because I want the dense look. I want a lot of flowers. They are almost spilling from the pot. It's totally different than planting your bulbs in the ground in your garden. So bulb lasagna is always very dense. You're using those bulbs probably just one time, so we no need to worry about spacing. Space them very, very close by. Okay, now it's time to cover your tulip bulbs with another portion of the soil. If you have any clumps of soil, always crush them, even with your hand, to make them just more, you know, like sprinkle-like, so there are no pockets of air between those particles of soil. So my second layer will be narcissus. I chose the variety called Shrike. It looks beautiful. I've never had it, so we'll see how it goes. Another one is called British Gamble, and it's very similar in colors to those tulips I've just planted. So I will mix those two together. You don't have to do that with narcissus. You can do it with two varieties of tulips. If you choose a tulip that blooms early, for example, Purissima is this type of tulip. This is one of the tulips that blooms first in my garden. And then if you add a variety that blooms very late in the season. So a good example would be Queen of the Night. This is a tulip that blooms definitely later, or maybe Menton is also this type of tulip. Then you can prolong the blooming time, because tulips will bloom for you for 2 to 3 weeks depending on the weather. But if you do that, first you start with crocus, then you have hyacinths, then you can have narcissi, then you can have 2 types of tulips, and then you have your alliums. You can only imagine that you will get like more than 2 months of blooms in just one pot. Now it's time for my narcissus. I will be spacing them about 3 centimeters from one another, and I will be mixing those colors together. My last layer will be hyacinths, and these are not new bulbs. These were the bulbs that I had in my pots last year. I dug them up from those pots because I changed the plants that I had in them, and I dried them on a very dry wall of the outside of my house. It is very dry and the sun doesn't go there because it's the north wall. So they dried there. They look very good. They are very firm and I'm really happy with them. So we'll see how it goes. But I have no idea which ones are there. Most of them were pink, so this will be fine. But I think in spring, the first flowers like hyacinths and crocus, I don't care about the colors. I just want the color after so many months of dark. So in spring, it's like, normally I wouldn't like yellow, but I'm happy with yellow when March comes. Okay, I filled my pot with soil like an inch from this part. This is always good when you're planting anything, because then the water will not spill out of your pot, and this is important. Now the pot needs to be watered, and I water it thoroughly. Always check if your pot has good drainage holes. This is very important. If it doesn't, they will all rot. Then, after I've watered it, I put it somewhere dry. I put it under the roof of my house, but outside, because tulips need around 6 to 8 weeks of cold. They will not bloom for you if you live in Florida. You will have to put them in the refrigerator for 6 weeks. If you live in a climate like mine, so you get cold winters, so that would be probably from the 9-8 zone, 8, I would say 8, you need to have 6 weeks of cold. So then you can store them I do it in my greenhouse, in a gardener's house, somewhere where it's very, very cold, but it's not wet. This is the most important. If you leave them in the middle of your garden and a lot of rain will be coming through this pot, you might have your bulbs rot. So have to be careful with that. I water my pots once a month, and in spring I check when I see the first signs of life. If I see those little tiny green, then I start watering more, but never so they are very, very wet. They don't like that. They like consistent moisture, but never being soggy. This is very important. And that is all. We all need to just wait for spring to come. Now we're in autumn. I love that. I told you the story. I don't know if I told you the story, but when I was to have a very important surgery on my spine, I was so afraid of it that I was planting bulbs in the fall. And because my fear was so huge, I would spend hours digging those bulbs, thinking if I die, my family will see those tulips in spring and they will think of me. I did not die, but when I came to the garden in spring, that was the most magnificent view, and it reminded me how great it is to dig something few months prior, and then in spring all your work appears as beautiful blooms. So this is why I love digging those bulbs and waiting for the results. Okay guys, please let me know in the comments, have you ever tried bulb lasagnas? If so, what were the good things you did? What was wrong? What did not work? If you're planning to plant them this year, please let me know what kind of varieties and what types of bulbs you're planting. And maybe you've seen something beautiful that you want to replicate. Also share with us in the comments. If you like today's video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!